leadership in this panel, and now we're living in 2020. Everybody talking about leadership 4.0. We're talking about managers that are out of date. Now it's talking about leaders and so on. And with this COVID thing and so many other change of the work environment, the leadership becomes so much important for professionals, for entrepreneurs, for everyone right now, for the career success. So I want to start with this one. So Pedro, according to you, what are the key 3 attributes you see in the leaders right now today? When you are hiring someone, what are the 3 in a leadership role? What are the key three things you want to see?
I guess 3 in mind. I will go in a second to that. Even if the first one you don't see in many organizations. Okay?
Yeah.
So first, definitely today, I believe the most important is communication. If you are not able to communicate outside, internally, and internally, you cannot do that. So this is for me, let's say, the most important. Secondly, the capability to change and to adapt, because the world is changing very quickly. You really need to adapt. Of course, you have a certain behavior regarding and related to your own experience, but you need to be fast to be able to adapt and to look for different approaches. The third one that you don't see in many organizations, but I honestly, in my personal point of view, is also one of the most important. You only can be a good leader if you have a strong, let's say, if you are strong as a human being. You really need to give a lot from yourself to the team. You need to share experiences, you need really to be close to the people, because otherwise you cannot be really successful. Of course, you see many organizations, big organizations successful, but it's not like that. But my opinion, if you are really not a kind of humanist, you will not be successful and not sustainable for the future. So one thing that really I try to be is a better human being every day when I interact with the team.
Thank you, Pedro. So I just wanted to ask a related question. I think that's so much valuable because you mentioned it's number 1. It's about communication internally and externally. So as a professional, what would be your advice for somebody who can communicate internally and externally and better?
First, don't be afraid of communicating. Of course, the first time you are on the stage, it's not easy. It's not easy to anyone, yeah, because we are afraid of saying the whole things. Do not be fluent enough. Do not pass the message. But the only way to learn is to try. So we really should challenge ourselves for the exposure, because it's not natural. People tend to believe that there are some guys that easily can talk in public. It's not like that. It's not like that. You need really to train, and if you start training more and more and more, you will realize that you become better. I had recently an interesting thing because I started to do some internal videos for the team. I said, okay, I should, instead of just sending a newsletter or something, I will do a video. It's a difficult experience. It is difficult because nobody likes to see yourself in a video. Always looks terrible. Yeah? But the only way to do it is try and do more and do more and be brave enough to watch what you record of yourself. Of course, you never do it again after, but it's the only way. Yeah? You will do many mistakes. It will be not fluid enough the communication, but it will be good. So I really recommend that you challenge yourself to do it. Of course, if you want to communicate properly, you need also, it's not about just doing as improvisation. You need to have a clear statement what you want to share. Also, you need to train that, but you need to do it. The only way to communicate is doing. You learn by doing.
So I think there's a lot of professionals here who are working at manager level or probably at senior manager level. So what would be advice for them so they can have a better communication with their peers? I think that would be good value. How would you like to advise on that one? Internal communication with their peers.
Bring value to the discussions. If you are really in a meeting, if you have something that you believe is valuable for the group, bring it. If you don't believe that is valuable, don't bring it. It's very basic, but it's like that. Really, you need to be engaged with the discussion and try to add it value to the discussion. With that, you will win for sure some respect from the peers.
Thank you, Pedro, for sharing. So I want to come to Ruby on the same question. So according to you, in being a startup person and CEO, what are the key things you think you're looking for
relationship I have with my employees changed a lot, where I start focusing on my employees, how I can help them to improve their career and can help them achieve their goal in their career better than just focusing on achieving the goal of the organization. Right? So when you are a leader, of course you have responsibilities to have to achieve the organization's goals and ambition, but it has to go both ways. It has to go with the ambition of the organization and of the people who work for it. And that leads to that you have to be very humble, listen to your employees, where they're struggling, what they want to achieve, and try to help them to achieve what they want to achieve. I think being able to be a good listener is so important as a leader right now. I've seen leaders who actually don't listen to their employees, and it's bad.
It's so difficult to be.
Yeah. It's difficult.
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
It's a skill that everyone has to learn, being a leader or not, right? Even being a husband or wife or mother or father, you still have to be a good listener anyways. And then generosity is a part where I mentioned earlier, you have to try to find to help people to achieve their goal. So when you align the organization goal with the goals of your individuals, then your organization is very strong. But if you only focus on achieving the company's goal without focusing on your people, then you struggle a lot. So that's my learning philosophy, and I've seen good leaders and bad leaders, and I always think that good leaders listen very well. Yeah. And it makes a whole difference.
Thank you for repairing on this one. Actually, I felt like it's more specific, more microscopic view of the number 3, which you just mentioned, being a good leader, and I think it's more specific into it. Thank you very much. So I want to go back to Pedro's concept. Right now, when you look at the industry, what are the lagging you're seeing among leaders right now?
Probably what we are facing now, we are just in this transition. We are moving from the traditional leader that really do not listen, that really are not close to the people, to the other extreme, where we have people that are, let's say, more related, more connected. And this changing process is not always well perceived even by the employees. It's difficult. For instance, and also it's very cultural dependent. If you talk about Europe, probably it's more easy. Yeah? People are more used to go to the boss. Here in Vietnam, it's difficult. When you start to have this open culture, when you start to open your office and say anyone can come, in the beginning people come. So you really need to go and to challenge them. What I'm used to do, honestly, I arrive in the office in the morning, I go on the way to my office, I start challenging people. How are you? Do you have anything to tell me? Please come there. Come for a coffee. But this open culture, they are not used to it. And also another thing is that everybody would like to have their own opinion. But when you start asking, please give me your opinion, people not so easily share it. Even in management level, I tell you.
Well, what do you think that why they're stopping? It's fear of judgment or
Yes.
security?
Insecurity. I had a weekly meeting, it was very well, management meeting, and I'm trying, and honestly up to now not successful, to rotate who's leading the meeting. We're talking about the first layer of the company. If, and that I tell you, I spent 1 year saying, yeah, next time you will be the next 1 year to lead, forget. If I don't bring the topics, if I don't lead, nothing happens. Why? Because they don't want to, because they're used to that. So everybody is expecting that the lead really start leading it, and should not be like that. So this is really something that is, of course, is improving and is changing, but takes time.
With this one, I want to move to Ruby. What do you think that one of the laggings in startup environment? So that was a pure corporate use. So this panel is going pretty exciting to me because Pedro is going very much about the corporates and large companies. And
Yeah,
Ruby's
it's a perfect panel.
it's a perfect panel. He's focusing more on entrepreneurships and startup moves. So what are the things you're lagging in the startup right now in leaders?
Lagging in startup, this is more general, right? It's not just in the startup world, but I see adaptability is something that leaders are actually lacking. As Pedro mentioned earlier, like because the world's moving so fast, everything changes so fast, the marketplace is changing, and sometimes I see leaders are not adapting to the change, and it's painful when leaders are not adapting to the change and the whole organization is struggling. And being a leader, you have to constantly be an innovator because you have to change the vision, you have to change the strategy to adapt to the market. At the same time, being a leader, you have to adapt to your organization. You cannot have one single leadership style and you apply to everyone. You have different people in the company, in the team. So someone might be the type of the person who like the boss has to tell them what to do and you have to use that style. And then another person will be like, oh, I don't like my boss to tell me what to do, I like to be anonymous. Sorry, not anonymous. I want to have autonomy, right? Independence, and you have to give that person the room for them to be independent. So being a leader is tough. It's very difficult. We human beings are so limited, but yeah, you have to adapt to the market, adapt to the outside world, you have to adapt to your organization, to every single individual that you're managing. But that's what I see as lacking quite a lot in leadership. Usually people have one style in the business, one style in their leadership, and they just stick to that style and they will change very fast.
But I tell you, sometimes I'm jealous about startup company because you may have the great ideas in a corporate company, and it's very tough. You are against the wall, but you're really, really very. It's very tight. Your freedom. So you want to do differently.
So many layers, right?
Yeah.
You want to do differently, and it's not because people saying to you, you cannot do it. No, it's because the culture of the organization is so strong that change management is tough. Even in small things.
I agree completely with that.
It's really
Living the life.
difficult to
I'm living the life, so I absolutely agree with that.
and sometimes it's really disappointing because you wake up with a great idea. Yeah, I want to do that. I want to change everything. Yeah, and then no.
So with this one, I'm just moving to the next question. It's about this is the story. So the Ford. Everybody knows this car, this Ford. So the Ford was founded by Mr. Henry Ford, and then after he died, his son and then his grandson was Henry Ford too was inherited the company. So what happened one day, he just walked into the company and saw that his whole revenue thing is going down, and that's the time there's a war between the Ford and Ferrari. And Ferrari, the Ferrari was winning, and with all the speed, even Ferrari is way too smaller company compared to Ford. So what he did, he came and he went to the factory and he stopped the factory. The whole production he stopped it on and tell everyone to stand in front of him and say that I need ideas. I need ideas to take things better, anything for it. The people who are not giving ideas are not going to work here. The people who are going to give the ideas, they're going to stay here and contribute and go up. So that's become so much important, having the ideas, which is getting wasted in one thing because the corporate framework sometimes. But at the same time, being a leader, the GM or CEO or a CIO, idea is so much important to us as well because that's something that helps us to differentiate ourselves or our team or keep the team spirit up as well too. So with this one, I want to ask you this one. How do you generate ideas from your team so they can bring it to you? Maybe sometimes all of them are not being executed, of course, because of difficulties. But how do you generate the ideas from your team?
That's a very, very difficult question. You have inside your team some of them that really naturally they will bring ideas, but most of them don't. And even if you challenge the people, say bring a different approach, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So I don't have a recipe for that. It's really something that concerns me because even and this is very, very, very critical here. There are countries where it's more easy. Here it's very critical because by default everyone is against change something. And you know, it's very, very, very well known that if you don't change the organization with time, you are dying. So you really need to innovate. But people by default is against it. Which means that they not only bring their own ideas, as when you bring some ideas, they don't really want to change it and to take it seriously. So it's for me, if you ask me, and this is related to the question, what is the most difficult thing that I have been facing here is change management. And we had the chance to talk about that before. It's really, really difficult, which means that even if you challenge the people to bring ideas, first they don't bring, and if someone brings, you have all of the others against the change.
Yes, there is resistance. Right? Resistance.
I don't know if in a startup it's different. Hopefully, yes, it's different. But in a big corporation, it's like.
I think it's less resistant to change, of course, and but it's human nature. They're afraid of having an idea, and then someone laughs at it and thinks it's stupid, or yeah, and
Insecurity,
yeah,
fear of judgment, right?
People afraid of change, or people afraid of having to do more work, or suddenly if I have this idea, I have to do more work. So I do think it's a common human kind of fear to have, but I think maybe I have a few ideas for you.
Okay, good.
So what I've seen in corporate, right? So I have worked with corporate as clients before, and change management is so tough and it's failed a lot because of people resisting to change. So in startup in programming, in developing, we have this what we call sandbox. It means you can do a lot of experiments separate from the normal environment, right? So you have a corporate culture and you really have the way of doing things. People are stuck to this. They're sticking to this way. Usually you want to change, you have to build like a separate corporation with new people, innovative ideas, with different independent resources, and develop experiments in this area. And then if this area experiments can be good, then you apply slowly to the rest of the organization. Actually, I do that in startup as well. Not all the ideas in startup can be welcomed. Same thing, same reason we talked about before. And so I separate my normal operation and the sandbox. So sandbox is where there's only business model, new products, new ideas, and just let the normal people do the normal work. So they don't have to be stretched, and ideas are not being judged. In startup, we also, in my company, usually I do a culture where, from the very beginning, people are not afraid to speak up. So when they speak about something, no one is going to be, oh, that's stupid. Or if they say that's stupid, it's in a jokey way and no one take it personally. And I think it's very useful because I don't think ideas come out of like one moment or one accident. Ideas is like a gradual accumulation of different problems we face and different ideas we have. And then at one point, one idea come out is really good. But it's a progress of people talking to each other, understanding the problems, thinking about solutions, and it's like an it's an evolution, right? It's not at one thing at one point. So having a culture where people are very open to speak to each other, they're not afraid of speaking up their mind, they're not afraid of being judged. Building the culture is very important for you to have new ideas. Else, people think, oh, brainstorm is a great idea, a great way to do ideas. Yes, but it's like most ideas actually don't come from brainstorm that much. Come from normal day-to-day talking to each other, and even brainstorm, right? Some people come to brainstorming and they don't bring any good idea because they are not prepared. And I think a lot of us, we're just lazy to think. We don't think deep enough. So when it comes to some idea, it's not good enough. So for me, when I run brainstorm, people have to come prepared with the idea, and they have to do research into the idea before they come to brainstorming. It's not like, oh, let's brainstorm and then some people come in and then we start thinking.
But brainstorming group does not work.
Yeah, so that's
Too traditional approach, right?
No, what I really like to do when I want to think about a tough topic and try to have different ideas how to solve it, it's very valuable to pick one or two people and say, okay, this morning we go for a coffee shop, we sit there, we talk about the topic, even really not with a proper script, but with that is very valuable because after 2 years of discussion, you come to have a different perspective and you start to have some ideas out. And this, for me, it's very important to be outside of the normal environment.
Yeah.
Because in the office, you will never ever have this, let's say, freedom of thinking. So you need to be somewhere out, take some time, without really nobody disturbing you, and then just normally talking, sharing a coffee, then you really can have some ideas.
Yeah, so on this one, I just wanted to add a little more value. There was a research was being done in MIT about brainstorming session, and actually, I mean, centralized brainstorming or distributed. They said that you have your idea, this is a problem statement, think about it next to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 1 month, and you get back to us on this one idea. So the second are distributed. I mean, they just do their own thing from their regular thing from operational work was much more efficient compared to bringing people and spending a day doing about this one. But unfortunately, many of the companies really love intensity rather than consistency. So next question I want to move to this one. I think many of you, it's been a matter to you. It's about moving on in the career. So somebody not a manager want to be a manager. Somebody who is already a manager want to go to the next level of being a senior manager or want to look into the director. Or somebody already director want to go to the C-level, C-suite as well too. Or somebody want to be GM. So my question in this one is about when do you decide to promote someone in your team? And I think that would be a good value for you because everybody want to get promoted, right? You want to get a bigger role, and bigger roles come with more responsibility and more better package as well too. So with that one, in a corporate side, when do you decide to promote someone?
When I see that there is potential first, and secondly, when you really realize that if the person do not go to the next step, you will lose the motivation. So it's a question to find the proper motivation moment, of course with the right skills. There is, and this is also interesting, and there's a lot of resistance in the big organizations are also related to that. Is there any risk when we promote someone? Definitely there is. But there is a bigger risk if you don't do it, because you will lose it. So which means that sometimes you are not sure when you promote someone that they can cope with the additional complexity, but you need to try. Because nobody born with all of the knowledge. And if you don't try and if you don't challenge yourself and you don't allow your team member to challenge himself or herself, you never know. So that's why you really need to take the risk. So first you need to find the right moment in terms of motivation for the next step, and secondly, of course, you need to assess that at least the basic skills are there. But you need to try. And for me, personally, it's also one of the biggest challenges that I have here is you really believe on that. You say, okay, this guy or this lady, really, I believe that they can do better in a different position. There is the moment that you have a lot of resistance of your organization because everybody's afraid that, yeah, but this position is too important. Okay, it is. But we need to give them the chance to be able to try.
So for you guys, you need to take chances as well.
Yeah.
You need to look for it, and nobody's going to offer you.
And you need you need to promote yourself, or you need to come to your manager and say, I would like to try this in the future, even if it is not tomorrow. And another one thing that also I used to say to my team many times, don't think about what is available in the organization. Think about what you want. Doesn't matter. The position is not there. Doesn't matter. You really need to identify, in your opinion, what is your next step. Being the position there or not. Then we'll see. Because if you are just reducing the scope of the things that you believe that you want to do just because there are only these and these and these positions available in the near future, you are reducing the scope. So you really need to think about what you want, what you are, in what you believe that you are strong, despite to have another position. Moreover, because if we are working in a big international company, maybe the position is not here, it's somewhere there. Maybe you can think to go to Malaysia, I don't know, to say something. So think about really what you want. The position being available or not is a different story. And let your manager be aware of it.
Two things was key takeaway. Number one, Peter said about let the manager know that what you're looking for in the next role. And the second thing is about, don't just think about what is available right now. Focus about what you really want to do. And this is the thing that will help you to go to the next level in your career.
I have just a very small comment regarding that. Also, you have many, I had that experience many times in the past. There are a lot of people in your team that always say, I would like to move. I would like to change. Okay, so the question is, you want to move? You want to change to doing what? I don't know. Come on. If you are saying to me that you want to move, that you want to do something different, and you don't know what you do, or what you can do, or what you want to do, So stop thinking about really what you want to do. And then we can discuss, not just coming to me saying I want to change because I want to change. It's not like that.
More specific, right?
Yeah, you need to do really your own exercise about what you believe that you really want to do, and you have the capability to do in the future, not just change by change. Really.
So I think I read a research a while ago saying that it's much better for a company to promote inside than to hire a new person coming in to fill in the position.
Still more and more, a lot of company hiring people outside rather than promoting themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think first of all, the person who has been working in your company has the organizational knowledge. They have the training for years, right? So it's very difficult to replicate that in a new person, and also they already have the relationship with the colleagues and the bosses. So I think for me in the company, I always look at what company want and who in the organization can fill in the role, right? Sometimes we have to look at it in advance. It's not that one day you find a position need to be filled. You have to look at it into your planning in 1 year. Usually it's not we don't plan in 1 year. we don't plan in 10 and 5 years like you do. But yeah, because our plan changes so fast, right? There's no point.
But you cannot plan. Even human resources, you cannot plan even 1 year. Because
Yeah, so-
everything changes so fast that
Yes,
you never know.
yeah. So yeah, so I mean, yes, you look at 1 year plan and then later it changes and so be it. But then when you look at what you need in 1 year, in the next 12 months, and who has the potential to develop into that. So I will go and talk to the person who I identify as a potential employees who can be promoted and talk to them, understand whether this is their career direction that they want to go to, and identify what we can do to help a person step up to that role. Sometimes it doesn't happen, you have to hire a new person to come in, but at least you give this person an opportunity. So I usually will consider if it's usually when you step up, it's more like a management role already. You have to consider the skill of them in terms of leadership role, leadership skills and communication skills and the skill in the vertical they're in, right? So that's what I do when I want to plan for promotion.
Thank you for sharing. So on my side, what I just want to add on this question is about when I want to promote someone in my team, the two things I really look at it. Number one, the consistency of the person, how consistent they are when they're delivering to the work and to the organizations and to the people they're working on. So this is the number one I look for. The second one I really look for is about so right now if they are good at something, but when they move up, they need to take care of more people under them or with them in their team. So let's see if somebody not a manager, I see that, but if we promote that person to be a manager, so that person needs to take care of a team. So now it's not going to be his game anymore, it's going to be her game anymore, it's going to be his or her, the team game. So can that he or she can take care of that team or not, and can help each other person to be successful or not. So there's not always everybody is perfectly confident or completely ready for this one, and that's why the first one Pedro said about you need to take risk and do a risk assessment and finally do that. If somebody's already a manager, if you're promoting as a senior manager, they need to take a bigger portfolio of delivery work. That's also a bigger portfolio. Can the person help those bigger team? They can work with the bigger team? Can communicate with the bigger team? Can inspire the bigger team? Motivate them as well to give them the right goals to make them successful, and probably help them to get promoted in the role, and so he or she can move up, and that person can move in and take that person's role as well. So these are the things I consider from my side when I want to promote someone in my team. And with this one, I want to move to the next question, and this one is about in a corporate. Your team is changing right now. There's a lot of, sometimes it's stable, but because of COVID, you have to let people go sometime, or sometimes there's high turnover going on, which is actually a startup case, high turnover always. Because people has a lot of opportunities, sometimes just people just don't like the thing, which I'll come to you in this one. So from your side, how do you keep your team motivated? What do you really do to keep your team motivated?
Just with a proper communication, very transparent about the future opportunities or not. It's about showing that this is a long-term winning relation. Company like my company Definitely, if they want to win more money quicker, it's not there. Definitely not. But the way to keep them motivated is to show them they will have a great future. It will take longer, definitely, but it's much more safe and more interesting at the end of the day, because they will have access to all of the good practices that there are in terms of management worldwide, and probably in a small company, different company, not anymore. So it's about showing the future, not committed. We need to be careful about that. So you should not commit with something. I cannot say you will be the new CEO. I cannot, because I don't know. Many things can change on the way, but you will have the chance to grow. The opportunities are there. Of course, it depends on you, but the opportunities are there. So if you are really transparent on that, if you are supportive, probably you can keep them motivated and you avoid a little bit this effect. And also I'm very, very open to discuss. And for instance, recently I had one young guy, very good element, come to me. I want to live, okay? But you want to live? Why? Because of money. Okay, understand. So think carefully about the pros and cons. Longer, better future, or quick money. Whatever you want to decide, I support. Because you are a good element. I understand if you take a decision to go to leave the company, you will go. I will support. And you know what happened? After a while, he came to me and said, yeah, I was thinking that even if I need money, I really look to stay, because I see a more secure future, better, more interesting. But it was his decision. It does not depend. I will support if you want to live. It's okay. Because also I believe that if someone lives in the proper way, the company also can return later. It's not a war. We are not against it. And I had also the same situation and I promote many people in the past to go abroad. It was the same. Yeah, I have a very good element. Headquarters asked me someone, say, okay, this is a very good opportunity for these people. Of course, I will have again, yes, because it's a good element that I will send. Yeah, but I would prefer to send to our headquarters and knowing that it will contribute in the future more to the company, and maybe we will return, than just lose the people because they are not motivated. Because if we don't give the chance, they go away. They go for the competition, for the market, and it's cost.
So I think it's a lot of common phenomenon going on with the young, particularly people who are below 30. A lot of people are just changing the job because it's their package, and actually there is a few companies out there that are just willing to pay double just to hire.
It does not exist. It's a short-term thing.
What do you want to say for those people specifically, who are really looking for those kinds of opportunities?
What I said to them, if it's really what you want, go ahead, but you need to be sure that is this what you are looking for, because, and this example is very typical. In Vietnam, if you change to a smaller Vietnamese company, of course you can do much more money. But many of the good things of a corporation you will not have anymore, like training, like the own development, like the possibility to be international. It's a balance, pros and cons. It's not wrong. If you want really money, it's okay. But choose really thinking about what you are doing. And most of them don't go. When you have this transparency with them, and also it's very, very important, because people tend to believe once they come to you and say, I want to leave the company, that immediately is an enemy. It's not. Even if the person wants to leave, even if someone wants to leave to the competition, you should respect. It should not be a war. And once you have this transparency and this, put them really talk open about, say, okay, you want to go? It's okay. Let's do it properly. We are not enemies. People really stop thinking about if they really want to live or not. Most of the time they stay. It's interesting.
So how do you see it in the startup environment when there is a high turnover and there's a lot of startup or basically trying to grab a lot of good people from each other and they have strategy? How do you see it?
Actually, yes, the reputation of startup is have high turnover, but luckily with the company I've been working with and working for, actually we don't have that much of a high turnover, because we, in the very beginning, even when we're young, we identify that people is the most important factor to the business, and so we want to first we So you pay competitively, have a performance bonus structure where if the company grow well, perform well, they get more. So they buy into that, goal driven of the company. And I think very important is that people always have to see a chance to grow, like Masud just said. In startup or in corporate, in any environment, people have to see that they can grow as this company. So you have to give them opportunity for them to grow. And in a startup, we have a lot of chance to grow because it's a very young company. The growth can be very exponential at many stages. So give people a chance to grow and give them opportunity to actually make mistakes as well. So for startups, for us, I'm very happy when my people want to experiment with something, take some calculated risk and make mistakes. And so they see that, oh, I have a chance to make mistakes, to learn, and I have a chance to grow. When I grow, I learn more and I also earn more as well. And then the last thing is that take a really good care of the people, no matter who they are. I mean, they can be your direct report, sometimes they can be your indirect report of many levels in corporate, but you have to find a way to take a really good care of the people. And I have the luxury of like designing my own people policies. That means I design how I want to take care of people. I don't think you have the luxury in corporate, but I'm sure you have some influence. But yeah, I always try to find way to take good care of our people. Yeah.
I think you mentioned something for me that is very important. In fact, I'm very proud that everybody in the organization can come to work with me, not my direct reports. Because my direct reports is office. Yeah. But I receive in my office daily a lot of people that are 3 levels below me. Because in the same way, it's important. Each one has his position, his function. And it's important that they really feel that we are taking care of them, that we really what they are doing is important.
Do you see all the interview panels?
I always see, at least for the important positions, I'm always the last to interview. And maybe not everybody in the organization, but at least two levels down me, or 3 levels down, I really interview everybody.
The last question from my side. So after that, we will do the open discussions. You can bring up any questions. You can direct to anyone to of us. There's a few questions from personal branding to which we're holding. I know that we will go with that first. Not a problem. So the last question is this one. Is I want to be ask a little personalized question about you. In your career, if there's a one decision you do not make it, I mean, or you could undo it in your career, what was the decision?
The first time that I was abroad and I decided to return home before the end of the contract. I was in my first delegation in Brazil. I was there more or less 1.5 years after, and then I had a chance to return home earlier than my contract because there was an open position in my own country. It was my biggest mistake.
What do you think is the biggest?
It was the biggest mistake because I look really I look very small. I said I'm a foreigner. I need to return. Let's pick this good opportunity that probably in the future will not be anymore there. It was a mistake because I was not enough time. If I stay there longer, probably I was much faster in my career. So that's why I'm saying don't look about open opportunities. Look about what you want. And this was a mistake. By the way, it was interesting because I took the decision to return earlier. But from the moment I took the decision to the moment that effectively I returned, it was like 9 months. The day I was returning, I was really regretting it. It was too late.
It's too late, right?
It was too late. I said, what I'm doing is a mistake. And my boss, by the way, at the time told me, this is a mistake. The same way I will support, you want to return, I will support, but it's a mistake. And it was absolutely right. So don't look, let's say the message is, don't look about what is safe. Because this is very dynamic.
Safe is an illusion, right?
It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
You cannot really measure the safe too. How safe is that? What's the meaning of safe, right?
Yeah. So I was looking. Yeah, let's return for this position that is there. Then when I return, there is not anymore. Who cares? When I return, many other things will happen. I don't know anymore. Now I'm here. You ask me, do you have a position to go back home? No. I'm concerned about that. Not so much. when is the moment, then we'll see. Because the difference is once you work abroad, and this makes a huge difference in your life. Once you really live the first time, then your marketplace is the world. Today, if you ask me, of course, I have some preference, definitely, yeah. But I'm very open to listen anywhere in the world. If it is an interesting position, why not? So we are not really anymore strictly to return home or to a specific place. It doesn't matter anymore. And this is what really makes the difference when you move forward.
Thank you. Thank you.
So don't go for the safe. Coming to back to the question, because sometimes it's a mistake.
Yeah. So if there is an opportunity coming on, so don't go for the safe. You're building a career in early stage. There's a few entrepreneurs here as well too. They already moved on, and there are probably some people already looking at career moving on as well too. So don't look for just on the safe options, but also looking at the growth options as well. Growth matters.
Yeah.
Louis, sit down.
This is such a tough question. Last night, think about it, I couldn't find anything. I don't regret any big decision in my life, but I made a lot of mistakes for sure, and then I will move on. But like, if I can change something in my career, I don't know what it would be. Yeah, maybe in the future. But when I make a big decision, usually I don't make it by myself. I will consult people who has good perspective on that, and so they give me good advice. Some people agree, some people disagree, but I usually collect information from people who can look into my situation from a different perspective, so I can make a better decision. So yeah, in short, I don't have any regrets. I'm not lying, but I do have mistakes. Yeah, a lot.
In fact, let me compliment. Also, I don't regret. I know that was a mistake, which is different.
Yeah.
Because once you take the decision, you need to move forward.
So my mistake was this one. So I was fortunate to get a full scholarship to study computer science and engineering, which is my first love in my life with the computer. So I got this one. So then what happened? So I was studying in school, and then what happened? There was a student fair going on. So there's one of the coaching center who actually training other students to get into a scholarship to good universities. They invited me to go to their booth and stand and talk to their potential customer. And I went there and I stand, and then I figured out that why I just don't do it myself rather than just promoting other people. Why I don't do that directly. So what I have done, I stand there and I keep collecting their cards and contacts. And then I went back home and I started contacting them, and then I worked on it for 2 years. Actually, worked on it, took a bit of time, and then I grown to a coaching center for like 100 students, and then I get other co-founders, and I get 300 students that was been in a coaching center, and it was been running really well. And then what happened? And after I graduated, I started to work, and then I'm going overseas. And then what happened that I was just did not put enough technology to model, and the internet thing was so new that time. You can run a business from far. I just didn't think enough because I was too dumb and too young that time, and I just sold the business to my other co-founders and walk away.
They're rich now.
Absolutely they are. I should be still holding that one, and that was one of my biggest mistakes I've done. I should still keep my share. I mean, I was still running the business as a co-founder, and it could be a great thing. So what I need to do at this time is implementing this IT technologies, accounting system probably. Everything was cash that time, no credit card even that time. Everything was cash, but having a good financial system, if you could do this framework and use the technology and using emails and kind of thing, I could be still looking at the financial report, and probably I just thought about running the business, didn't think it myself as an investor of the business. So I just think about how I could be just a founder and running the business. I didn't really think about actually owning the business and being just being an investor, letting my other benefits go away. And that was one of the biggest mistakes happened. I don't regret. I'm learning from that one, but it's one of the biggest mistakes.